pruning one of what I consider the best summer blooming hydrangea is easy. Now the variety here is called Annabelle. I really like Annabelle. And there's other newer ones like Incredible, but you can see here behind me, if they're not pruned, how tall they'll get. So they make a great fill-in plant. This started out as 5 plants. They were probably planted 30 years ago. Now they are almost 50 feet by 30 feet, and they're filled with pure white blooms. They sort of turn olive in the beginning, then they turn to pure white, and then they turn to olive color again. And that's the best time if you're going to dry them. They are just fantastic dry. But I really like to prune these after the birds have used them for protection in the winter. You know, we have a Cooper's hawk, we have a couple chicken hawks, and what they're doing is one goes through and then another one follows, and they're looking for birds. So the more you can keep some of this protective material, the better for the birds. And there's a couple ways that you can prune them. I like to prune them in late winter, early spring. Now, I've waited a little longer than normal. They've got a little growth, but I'm going to come around the front here, and they are just easy. One of the easiest plants that you can prune. I call it a no-brainer. Very simple type of pruning. And there's a couple ways that you can prune them. So, well, let me show you a stem here and kind of describe the different ways that you can prune. This has a little growth, which is great. And as you can see, well, it looks to be almost 3.5 to 4 feet in height. And for many of the Hydrangea Annabelle, I'm going to cut them to almost 2 inches. If you look real carefully, right here, you'll see there's a basil bud here and 2 more basil buds. And I'm going to cut them to 1 or 2 buds. If I cut it to 1 bud, that means I'm going to get one really nice stem with larger flowers. Now, I have another option. In the background here, around the mugo pine and under the dogwood, I'm going to cut them taller because I want them to be taller and I want them to have multiple stems. So the ones back there, I might come in and I'm going to prune them to maybe this height. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I like to prune a little harder. I'm going to come right in here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nodes and buds. And I'm doing that in the background. And they will send up more stems and they're just going to bloom fantastic. They'll probably start blooming in June, end of June. Then they bloom July, August, and September. So let me show you how to prune. I'm going to get down here on the ground. Many people, or most people, don't think they have a green thumb. I think everyone has an innate green thumb or some kind of green thumb. But this is a plant that I call a purple thumb plant. It is foolproof in the full sun and it's fantastic. So I came in here and I probably about 2 weeks ago, I pruned these Hydrangea Annabelle to 1 bud, and some of the shoots are coming right out of the ground, and they're going to give me nice big stems with giant flowers. So what you normally are going to do is come in here and cut them to maybe 1 inch from the ground. Now I tend to cut things back a little harder than normal because I find that plants are very, or at least this one, very resilient. So I'm going to come in and cut it to 1 bud. Now you can see here, if I cut it to maybe 2 buds, it's going to produce a flower here, but it's not going to be as big. I like the huge, giant Annabelle flowers. They're excellent for drying. So I'm just going to come in here and cut this back hard. Now, if you want to make it a little easier, you can come in with the loppers. Then you don't have to get down right to the ground. And so you're just going to come in like this and prune them. So when you're done pruning, it's going to look like and the great thing about summer blooming hydrangea, now we're going to talk about some of the other types in the future, like limelight or little lime, little lamb. The great thing about these hydrangeas is that you can prune them in the spring and they're going to come into bloom during the summer months. They bloom on new wood. The other hydrangeas, like the pink and the blue hydrangeas, they bloom on buds that were produced in maybe August or September. So you can go through and just cut them all back. I've got a piece of power equipment that I'm also going to show you how easy it is to prune Annabelle, the summer blooming hydrangea. I'm Mark Viette and I live in the Shenandoah Valley. A week ago, I trimmed some of these Hydrangea Annabelle. There's another one also called Invincible, which has very similar growth habit, maybe a little more compact, but I trimmed the ones right here near my feet, right almost to the ground. I'm going to show you how to automate that with a hedge trimmers, since I have so many to prune. I just want to review again that around the edge of this group of hydrangea, this is the summer blooming hydrangea, I'm going to cut them low to the ground. Now, as we get into the mugo pine and under the dogwood, instead of cutting them right to the ground, I would come in and cut it about here. You can see what happened last year. It's different. Each one of these near my feet are going to produce 1 stem. But when you cut them taller, they produce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stems, but they have smaller flowers. The ones in the front here are cut close to the ground. They produce 1 stem, much larger flowers. So let me show you. If you really have a lot of these Hydrangea Annabelle, I wish we had more. I wish we had, a 1/4 acre of them, because they're really fantastic, super hardy plants. As always, wear protective gloves, wear protective eyewear, and be careful when you use automated equipment. even that will give you a great workout. So again, Annabelle Hydrangea, Hydrangea Invincible, you can prune them in middle of winter, late winter, early spring, because they're going to continue to grow and produce buds over the next 2 months and then flower in July, August, and September. About 2 months ago, I pruned this summer blooming hydrangea, which is known as Hydrangea Annabelle. And I pruned the ones in front here right down to about 2 inches above the ground. As you can see, it's coming with beautiful new growth that is going to flower in about a month. Now, the ones behind me, I pruned to about 1 foot, and they're much taller. I wanted the ones in the back to be taller. But again, easy to grow hydrangea. I'm Mark Viette. Join me in the garden.